Pope Francis has appointed Cardinal Luis Tagle the new head of the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples. The 62-year-old Filipino cardinal succeeds Cardinal Fernando Filoni, who led the Vatican department for 8 years. Yesterday, the Holy Father appointed Filoni the Grand Master of the Order of the Holy Sepulchre.
In a move that has left the world in awe, Pope Francis has announced his resignation, marking the end of a transformative era for the Catholic Church. His papacy, defined by unwavering compassion, a fierce commitment to social justice, and groundbreaking environmental advocacy, has come to a close. This decision has not only shaken the foundations of the global Church but has also ignited intense conversations about the future of Catholicism in an ever-evolving world. As the world holds its breath, Cardinal Luis Tagle, the Archbishop of Manila, has been named as his successor. Renowned for his tireless work with the marginalized, his passion for fostering interfaith dialogue, and his forward-thinking leadership, Cardinal Tagle is set to build on Pope Francis's legacy while steering the Church through the complexities of the modern age. Cardinal Tagle has quite a lot of experience and enthusiasm for evangelization. He took part in the two big synods to do with this subject, the Synod on the New Evangelization in 2012 and the Synod on Youth last year. Pope Francis, a legacy of change. Pope Francis's time as the spiritual leader of the Catholic Church has been nothing short of revolutionary. From the moment he was elected in 2013, he redefined the role of the papacy, bringing a fresh perspective that resonated deeply with the 21st century. Unlike his predecessors, Francis embraced humility, accessibility, and a profound connection to the struggles of the poor and forgotten. One of his first and most symbolic acts was abandoning the lavish papal residence in the Apostolic Palace for a modest suite in the Vatican guest house. This wasn't just a change of address, it was a powerful statement about simplicity and solidarity with the everyday person. His choice to drive a humble car, wear plain robes, and present himself as a servant leader further cemented this shift in papal culture. But Francis's impact went far beyond symbolism. He tackled some of the Church's most pressing issues head-on, particularly the deeply rooted clerical abuse scandals. His bold stance, public apologies, and push for greater accountability within the clergy signaled a new era of transparency and responsibility. Beyond the Church's walls, Pope Francis became a global voice for social justice, migration rights, and environmental stewardship. His efforts to bridge divides and advocate for the planet earned him admiration far beyond Catholic communities, solidifying his place as a transformative figure in history. One of the defining pillars of Pope Francis's papacy was his unwavering dedication to environmental stewardship. In 2015, he made waves with his groundbreaking encyclical, Laudato Si. Laudato Si, the Pope's new encyclical letter, was published, of course, with that opening line taken from the Canticle of the Creatures by Saint Francis himself, someone who was deeply in touch with the beauty and dignity of creation. A heartfelt call to action addressing climate change, environmental destruction, and the disproportionate suffering of the poor. This document didn't just resonate within the Church, it echoed across the globe, aligning Catholicism with international efforts to protect the planet and promote sustainable development. But Francis's vision extended beyond the environment. He became a bridge builder, fostering dialogue between faiths, particularly with Islam and Judaism. His message was clear: in a world increasingly divided, understanding and tolerance among religions aren't just ideals, they are necessities. This global perspective cemented his reputation as a leader who transcended religious boundaries, uniting people under a shared vision of peace and cooperation. Cardinal Tagle, a new chapter for the Church. As the world processed the news of Pope Francis's resignation, all eyes turned to the Vatican to see who would step into his shoes. Enter Cardinal Luis. Tagle of the Philippines, a figure celebrated for his charisma, compassion, and deep connection to the people. His selection as the new pope marks a pivotal moment for the Catholic Church, signifying both continuity and change. Born in 1957, Cardinal Tagle's journey to the papacy is a testament to his dedication to social justice, theological wisdom, and ability to connect with individuals from all walks of life. From his early days as a priest, Tagle stood out for his hands-on work with the poor and marginalized in the Philippines. His grassroots approach and genuine empathy quickly earned him recognition within the Church. One of Tagle's most notable achievements has been his leadership of Caritas Internationalis, the Church's global charitable arm. Pope Benedict XVI elevated him to cardinal the following year. He is clearly interested in reaching out to the marginalized. This is what Tagle said to Pope Francis last year during his papal visit to Manila: "Every Filipino wants to go with you, not to Rome, but to the peripheries." Through initiatives like the Share the Journey campaign, he brought global attention to the struggles of migrants and refugees, shedding light on the devastating effects of war, poverty, and climate change. His visits to refugee camps and personal interactions with displaced communities showcased his deep compassion and commitment to amplifying the voices of the voiceless. Tagle's leadership style is a unique blend of humility and influence. Whether standing alongside the poor in slums or engaging in high-level interfaith dialogues, his actions reflect a profound understanding of the Gospel's call to serve others. His ability to address complex theological and social issues with sensitivity has earned him respect not only within the Church but also among global leaders. Tagle represents the Church's potential to evolve while staying true to its foundational teachings. As Cardinal Tagle steps into his new role, he faces a Church at a crossroads. The Catholic community is deeply divided, with traditionalists and progressives holding starkly different views on key issues. While Tagle is seen as a natural successor to Pope Francis's transformative legacy, his alignment with Francis's vision may create tension with conservatives resistant to change. Tagle's greatest challenge will be uniting these factions, fostering a sense of harmony while addressing the pressing issues of our time. His charisma, deep spirituality, and ability to connect with people from all backgrounds position him as a unifying figure, but the question remains, can he navigate these divides and lead the Church into a new era of relevance and resilience? Cardinal Luis Tagle of Manila is preparing for a huge event, a visit to his homeland, the Philippines, by Pope Francis. Cardinal Tagle's track record of compassion, visionary leadership, and unwavering commitment to social justice uniquely positions him to guide the Church into a new chapter. His ability to connect with people from all walks of life, coupled with his deep understanding of the Church's mission, makes him a beacon of hope for a fractured institution. However, the road ahead is far from easy. Uniting a divided Church will require both tact and bold decision-making. Beyond internal challenges, Tagle must also address some of the most pressing global issues facing the Church today. These include the role of women in the Church, the inclusion of LGBTQ+ individuals, and the ongoing crisis of clerical abuse. The world is watching closely, and the expectations placed on Tagle are immense. The Vatican's sacred process, choosing the next pope. The process of selecting a new pope is one of the most mysterious and sacred traditions in the world. The College of Cardinals, a group of senior church leaders, gathers in the Sistine Chapel for a conclave, a deeply spiritual and secretive event. Here they engage in prayer, reflection, and deliberation before casting their votes to elect the next leader of the Catholic Church. The conclave is not just a procedural event, it's a deeply symbolic moment. As the cardinals deliberate, they carry the weight of the Church's past, present and future. The decision they make will have profound implications for the direction of Catholicism in the years to come. One of Cardinal Tagle's most defining qualities is his commitment to enculturation, the idea of blending the Church's teachings with the unique customs and traditions of local cultures. This approach has been particularly impactful in regions like Africa and Asia, where he has championed the use of indigenous music, art, and languages in Catholic worship. By doing so, he has made the Church more relatable and accessible to diverse communities while staying true to its core beliefs. Tagle's vision for the Church is one of inclusivity, social justice, and active engagement with the world's most pressing issues. He believes the Church must remain responsive to the needs of the modern world without losing sight of its spiritual mission. To a refugee camp, all the refugees were not Christians, but the head of that camp asked me, "You are different from us, but why are you here? Why are the Christians doing this for us?" His leadership promises to bring a renewed focus on compassion, unity, and global solidarity. As Cardinal Tagle prepares to step into the papacy, his vision offers a path forward that balances tradition with progress. He embodies the promise of a Church that is deeply connected to the struggles and hopes of humanity, offering a message of hope and renewal in uncertain times. Pope Francis's resignation, a historic turning point. The announcement of Pope Francis's resignation sent shockwaves through the Catholic Church and beyond. Known for his warmth, humility, and groundbreaking papacy, Francis's decision to step down marked a seismic shift in the Church's history. His resignation was not just a practical decision, it was a deeply symbolic act reflecting his belief in the need for fresh leadership at a pivotal moment in the Church's journey. Pope Francis's tenure redefined what it means to be a spiritual leader in the 21st century. His emphasis on humility, social justice, and environmental stewardship left an indelible mark on the Church and the world. As the Church prepares to welcome a new leader, the legacy of Pope Francis will continue to inspire and challenge Catholics everywhere. As the 266th Pope of the Catholic Church, Pope Francis's papacy was defined by his unwavering dedication to compassion, social justice, and environmental sustainability. His pastoral approach centered on connecting with marginalized communities, embodying the values of mercy, peace, and unity. His decision to step down during the Jubilee of Hope, a time dedicated to renewal and spiritual reflection, felt intentional, serving as a call for introspection among the faithful. It reminded the Church of its enduring mission to serve humanity in all its diversity, especially in times of crisis. The Holy Father revealed that at the beginning of his pontificate, he gave a letter declaring that he would step down in the event of serious and permanent health impediments that made it impossible for him to exercise his role. One of the most profound aspects of Pope Francis's legacy is his relentless focus on social justice. Throughout his papacy, he championed the cause of the poor, advocated for the oppressed, and tackled global issues like poverty, forced migration, and climate change. His messages resonated far beyond the Catholic community, influencing secular debates and global policy discussions. Francis's commitment to the environment, particularly through his landmark encyclical Laudato Si', highlighted the urgent need for environmental stewardship in the face of climate change. He framed the care of creation as not just an ecological issue but a moral and spiritual one. Released in 2015, Laudato Si' was celebrated by environmentalists, world leaders, and everyday people alike, solidifying Francis's role as a moral authority in global sustainability efforts. His advocacy for refugees was equally impactful. In a world increasingly marked by nationalism and anti-immigrant sentiment, Francis consistently called for compassion and dignity toward migrants. His efforts weren't just theoretical. He launched Vatican programs and partnered with international organizations to provide direct aid to displaced people. One of the most enduring images of his papacy is his embrace of the marginalized, visiting slums, meeting the poor, and even washing the feet of prisoners. These actions weren't just symbolic, they were a powerful reminder that the Church must go to the peripheries, meeting people where they are, a leadership style rooted in empowerment. Pope Francis's leadership style was revolutionary in many ways. From the Vatican, Pope Francis has approved a landmark ruling that will allow Catholic priests to administer blessings. He sought to decentralize power within the Church, believing that lay people, ordinary members of the Church, should have a greater voice in decision-making. This was a significant shift from the traditional clericalism that had long defined the Vatican's hierarchy. Francis called for the empowerment of the lay, encouraging them to actively live out their faith and participate in the Church's mission. He made strides in this direction by establishing commissions and advisory bodies that included both men and women from diverse backgrounds. His belief was clear: the Church should not treat its members as passive recipients of grace but as active participants in its mission. This emphasis on collaboration and inclusivity extended to his efforts to address long-standing issues within the clergy. Francis took a firm stance against sexual abuse, implementing reforms to increase transparency and accountability. He established new policies for handling abuse cases and pushed for greater responsibility at the highest levels of the Church. Catholic priests can now bless same-sex couples. Pope Francis formally changed Vatican policy today, insisting people seeking God's love and mercy shouldn't be subject to an exhaustive moral analysis. These actions were part of a broader effort to restore trust in the Church's moral authority. Pope Francis didn't shy away from confronting the clergy, especially on issues of sexual abuse and power dynamics. His approach was direct and resolute, reflecting his background as a Jesuit with a deep understanding of governance and spiritual discipline. Francis's call for accountability in the face of sexual abuse scandals was one of his most controversial but crucial initiatives. Unlike some of his predecessors, he took a public and unequivocal stance, holding bishops accountable for covering up abuse. This marked a significant shift toward a more transparent and accountable church. However, these reforms also sparked tension within the church. Some factions resisted the changes, questioning Francis's approach and pushing back against his vision for a more open and just institution. Despite these challenges, Francis remained steadfast, balancing justice with mercy and emphasizing the need for healing alongside accountability. Pope Francis's vision for the Church extended beyond its spiritual mission. It included a bold call for internal reform. He recognized the need to modernize the Vatican structures, particularly its financial operations, and pushed for greater transparency and efficiency in managing church resources. His efforts to tackle corruption within the Vatican Bank and improve financial oversight were part of a broader agenda to restore integrity to the Church's operations. At the Vatican Bank, Monsignor Nunzio Scorano, employed in the Vatican's financial administration, is accused of trying to move €20 million from Switzerland to Italy illegally. A Secret Service officer and a financial broker have also been arrested. These reforms were not just about accountability, they were about ensuring that the Church's resources were used to serve its mission of compassion and justice. A global impact, embracing diversity and interfaith dialogue, Pope Francis's legacy reaches far beyond the Catholic Church. His commitment to fostering interfaith dialogue and building bridges with other religious communities was a cornerstone of his papacy. He believed that shared values like compassion, peace, and justice could unite people of different faiths, even in a world increasingly marked by religious intolerance and conflict. One of the most significant moments of his papacy was his historic visit to the United Arab Emirates in 2019, where he signed the document on human fraternity with the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar. This wasn't just a symbolic gesture, it was a concrete step toward promoting peace and understanding in a region often divided by sectarian strife. Francis also worked tirelessly to strengthen relationships with other Christian denominations. His ecumenical efforts focused on healing divisions between Catholics and Orthodox Christians, and he built strong ties with Protestant leaders. His emphasis on shared Christian witness in a divided world was a powerful reminder of the common ground that unites all followers of Christ. As Pope Francis prepares to step down, the Catholic Church finds itself at a pivotal moment. The question of who will succeed him carries immense significance, not just for Catholics, but for the world at large. Cardinal Luis Tagle, the Archbishop of Manila, has emerged as a leading contender for the papacy. His leadership style, deeply rooted in social justice and pastoral care, makes him a natural heir to Pope Francis's vision. Cardinal Tagle's extensive experience as a theologian and his global perspective have prepared him to lead at this critical time. His advocacy for the poor, his commitment to interfaith dialogue, and his focus on issues like climate change position him as a leader who can continue the transformative work of Pope Francis. However, the challenges ahead are immense. In their name, I welcome you to our country, to the city of Manila, and to the Cathedral Basilica of the Immaculate Conception. Welcome, benvenuto. Navigating the complex and often contentious politics of the Vatican will require wisdom, courage, and a deep sense of purpose. The future of the Catholic Church is uncertain, and the path forward will depend on the leadership that emerges in the wake of Pope Francis's resignation. Whether Cardinal Tagle becomes the next pope or not, his role in shaping the Church's future remains vital. The decisions made in this new era will determine the Church's relevance and impact in a rapidly changing world. A new chapter for the Church, Pope Francis's resignation marks the end of an era but also the beginning of a new chapter for the Catholic Church. His legacy, defined by compassion, social justice, and environmental stewardship, has reshaped how the Church engages with the world. As the Church faces an uncertain future, the appointment of a new pope will be a defining moment that shapes its role for generations to come. The challenges ahead are profound, but they also present an opportunity for renewal and transformation. The global Church is watching closely, waiting to see how it will navigate the complexities of the modern world while staying true to its mission of faith, hope, and love. As the Church enters this new era, it must grapple with questions of identity and purpose. How can it remain a beacon of hope in a world increasingly defined by division and uncertainty? How can it balance tradition with the need for progress? These are not easy questions, but they are essential ones. Pope Francis's papacy has shown that the Church can be a force for good in the world, but it must be willing to adapt and evolve. The next Pope will need to build on this legacy, addressing both internal challenges and global issues with courage and compassion. The Church's mission is timeless, but its methods must reflect the realities of the modern world. Whether through interfaith dialogue, social justice advocacy, or environmental stewardship, the Church has the potential to inspire and unite people across boundaries. As we look to the future, one thing is clear: the Catholic Church stands at a crossroads. The choices made in the coming years will shape its trajectory for decades to come, but with the right leadership, it can continue to be a source of hope, healing, and transformation in a world that desperately needs it. If you have liked that video, subscribe to the channel to get more insightful content like this.